What's going on, people? It's your boy back with another reaction. Now we're reacting to uh, three disturbing true Instagram horror stories. I believe I just saw this from Mr. Nightmare. Yes, this is from Mr. Nightmare. I put a link to the original video down in the description. I've had this on my computer for at least, I think, 3 weeks. Wait, when did he upload this? Okay, he uploaded 2 weeks ago, so I ain't been 3 weeks, it's been 2 weeks. Because I think I downloaded, when I first saw, I think it had been on for like 9 hours or something like that. And I downloaded it, but just now getting around to watching it. Apparently he uploaded this before, but I guess it had to be re-uploaded, and he added another story to it, so that's why it's 17 minutes. Well, basically 18 minutes, 17 minutes, 57 seconds. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into this. Let's get into this. Here we go. Also, I need to work out, because I ain't worked out yet. Before I start getting tired.
I'm sure most of you use Instagram this day and age. Whether you have a big following or none at all, it's just something most of society uses. Apparently the app has over 1 billion active users, which I find insane. I had about 300 followers at the time this happened. I live in a rural town, so I guess that's a lot for people around us. We don't know a lot of people outside of our districts. One night watching a movie, my phone vibrated. It said a girl named Holly started following me on Instagram. So I opened up Instagram to check out her profile. And she was this really gorgeous blonde girl with like 5,000 followers. She had about 50 pictures. They were all spaced out realistically as far as the dates they were posted.
It's a trap.
Usually when I get followers like this, I'll check to make sure they're actually legit.
Yeah, I do that
She
too.
got like 600 likes per picture and a bunch of comments from guys I assume she didn't even know, leaving hearts and drooling emojis and whatever. Then, I kid you not, as I was going through her page, before I even followed her back, she DM'd me. She said, "Hey, I honestly don't do this a lot.
It's definitely
but you're really
true.
cute." To be honest, and not to sound like a douche, I am pretty fit, and I've been told I'm pretty attractive. And I have had some girls DM me in the past.
Well, yeah.
So I
Well, I
followed
guess
her
in
back
this
and DM'd her
situation,
the
it's
same,
they're not
saying I
gonna-
think you're cute too. Then we went on to have a pretty long conversation, but it was going really well. We talked about fitness and what high school
Only
was like,
DMs I get
and honestly
is,
it was great.
You should follow
She gave me
my
her
YouTube
number,
channel.
and we quickly got to setting up a
My,
meetup for the next night, which was a
Snapchat.
Friday night. We agreed we'd meet at a popular bar called Lucky's for a couple drinks. So Friday night, as the nerves are starting to kick in, I prepare myself for this little date. Never had I gone on a date straight from an Instagram DM, but this girl was downright gorgeous.
Couldn't pass
I
with
drove
that.
down to Lucky's and sat in my car in the parking lot, awaiting her call or text to let me know she was there. Eventually she did text me, but not to let me know she was there. She said her car broke down and she needed a ride. I had to reread it a couple times to be sure I was reading it correctly. I tried calling her, but she didn't accept the call.
Trying to trap you.
She texted me describing her location. I didn't answer just yet. I took one more good look at her Instagram profile, and it was definitely real. She had friends tagged in her pictures, commenting on her pictures, so I knew I wasn't getting catfished. I texted back on my way, and off I went. I drove down
She
the
could be a
quiet
real
side
person,
roads
but
towards the
still could be a
location she
trap.
described. I made it, but it was a weird spot for her car to have broken down. I saw a car pulled off to the side of the road next to the woods. Actually, there were woods on either side of the
That
road.
looked like Mississippi.
The car had its hood open, so it had to be her. I tried calling, but it didn't go through. I looked at my phone and realized I had no bars here.
I had to sacrifice you. Yeah,
I
that
parked my
sounds
car
a lot
on
like
the other side of
Mississippi.
the road and got out.
Go up.
As I walked over to the car,
Alabama.
which was a black Nissan Altima,
Louisiana.
I realized I couldn't see inside of it at all. The windows were completely tinted black. I lightly tapped on the window and waited. No one opened the door, so I walked around to the front hood, just to see if she had attempted to do any work on the engine, I guess. As far as I could tell, she didn't.
Do any work on it? Was she a
I
mechanic?
was losing patience. I texted her, "Where are you? I'm about to leave." As I walked back to the side of the car, I noticed the driver's side window had now been cracked down. I knew for a fact they were all shut a minute ago. I called Holly's name, knowing someone had to be in the car now. As I walked a little closer to get a look inside,
I want
someone's fist reached out from the window, and they started signaling for me to come closer with their pointer finger. I felt my stomach drop, realizing it was definitely a man's hand. I told him in a shaky voice, "Get lost," as I ran back to my car.
I wouldn't have said nothing. I would just ran
I
back
sped
to my
away
car.
and made the first right turn off the street I could. Because of my constant glances in the rearview mirror, I eventually spotted a car with its lights off trailing behind me. I thought to do the same. I turned off the lights on my car and started making as many turns
out
as
there?
possible.
That's dangerous.
And eventually I did lose the car. When I got home, the profile had already blocked me. But I found out at a later date that that profile was in fact real, but that the girl in the pictures was hacked by some creepy dude. And I wasn't even this only guy's victim of whatever plan he had. I just hope everyone else was as fortunate as me.
No, they probably weren't. They're probably dead now. That's some scary shit.
I have an Instagram account with 1,100 followers.
Good thing when I get anybody
I had it set to
attractive
public
that
so anybody
DMs
could come
me, I'm
onto
like,
my
"Who sent
page and
you?"
look at my pictures, like them, and comment on them. So oftentimes I'd get people I didn't know liking my pictures and commenting on them. But one person stood out from the rest. I remember his first comment on one of my photos. It was a beach picture with one of my friends. So I was wearing a swimsuit. I had like 11 comments on it, but one of them was from somebody I didn't know. It was 3 flame emojis. I clicked the man's profile. He had 3 pictures, 80 followers, and he was following over 200 people, including me. All 3 of his pictures were of him, selfies, which didn't look right given that he looked like he was 40 or 50. I didn't mind though, it's expected to happen to a certain extent. However, after that photo, it started becoming a thing where the man would just comment on every new photo I posted. One comment just said hot. This one was a little creepier, honestly. But then 2 days later, after posting my next picture, the man didn't comment this time. Instead, he sent me a direct message. It said, "Hey, I just wanted to tell you that you're beautiful, even though I'm like 30 years older than you, LOL. I responded, "LOL, thanks," which I'm surprised I did. Most people would have probably ignored it.
Yeah, I wouldn't have responded.
He got back to me with, "I would kill to meet a girl like you." I replied 10
Of course
minutes
he
later
would.
with thanks, hoping he wouldn't say anything else. But he got back to me with, "Maybe one day I'll meet you,
Oh, boy.
LOL. I didn't reply to that one.
Yeah,
I found everything about the guy creepy.
yeah. He already
I
said I'm
didn't
like
block
30
him.
years old.
I figured, why get rid of a free follow and likes? I hadn't heard from him until I posted a new photo. This one of my sister Carol and I in
I
front
mean, if
of
you're
our
20
house.
then or 18.
The man
then-
commented quickly on the photo, saying, "You and your sister are so cute." Now it was becoming too much for me, so I removed the comment and blocked him.
Oh, that pissed him off.
Later in the day, Carol and I were home alone. I was in the bathroom doing my nails, getting ready to go out. I noticed a car I didn't recognize pull up in front of the house through the window. But
This
only the front.
motherfucker
The rest of the
found
car
out
was covered by the
where
bush
you
that
live.
separates our front yard from the neighbors. The headlight shut off, but I didn't see anyone step out of the car. I took note of this only because we're on a dead-end block, so we don't get any through traffic. I shut the blind just because I was on full display. My
Blinds should
sister
have been
was
shut
in her
anyway.
room on her
It's
laptop
nighttime.
when the time came for me to
Like,
leave.
blinds open.
I didn't bother saying goodbye. Usually we just text each other that we're going out anyway. I went to my car, looking at the mysterious car, which revealed to be a Maxima. The tinted windows mixed with the darkness of the night made it impossible to see inside of it. I got in my car, did a 3-point turn, and drove down the one-sided street to the nearest main road. I went to a social gathering at a friend's house. I wouldn't call it a party, but a decent amount of drinking
Social
went on.
gathering. It's
I
not a
cut
party.
myself
It's
off a little
social.
early since I knew I
It's not
had to
enough
drive.
people there.
but still,
To be
I'll
deemed a
admit,
party.
and I don't condone this kind of behavior
I've driven
whatsoever.
on a lot of roads like
I was
this at
pretty
night.
tipsy when I was driving
Down south.
home. It was only a 5-minute drive though.
Just pitch black.
I pulled up to my house, and the first thing I noticed was the Maxima still parked out front. I needed to know whose car was that. I passed it slowly, but still couldn't see inside of it. I parked and texted a few friends that I got home safe before stepping outside and walking up to my house.
In your house.
I was eyeing that car parked out front all the way up to the front door, where I dropped my keys. At which point, for whatever
This is a
reason,
horror
I
movie.
was too scared to bend over and look for them. Instead, I rang the doorbell like 5 times so my sister would answer quickly. She never answered the door though, so I was forced to get on my knees and look for the keys.
Look for the
They
keys. You
actually
didn't.
landed right on the doormat.
You didn't have the
I
porch
opened
light
the door
on?
and went inside pretty swiftly, taking one last look at the Maxima before shutting the door. It was past midnight, but my sister was usually still up this late, so I dizzily but quietly walked up the stairs and down the hall towards her door. And oddly enough, it was wide open, but the lights were out. Maybe she went out for once. I crept into the room, and my heart skipped a beat as my mind tried to put together the faint noise I was hearing. It took me a while to realize it was a whisper. The whisper of my sister. It was coming from the closet. The closet was cracked open, and I saw my sister peeping her eyes through the crack. She was visibly shaken and appeared to be crying. I knelt down next to her and opened the closet all the way, whispering, "What's going on?" She didn't say anything though. She just kept putting her finger on her lips, telling me to be quiet. I tugged at her arm
Be
to pull
quiet.
her out of the closet, and when she was out, I pushed the closet shut quietly. This revealed my sister's room again, as well as somebody clear as day standing direct center in my sister's room. I don't know if he was facing us or not, but that didn't matter because we both wailed as we ran together.
He didn't hear you come
I
in?
felt the vibrations of the man stomping close behind us. We went straight for the car. I was able to lock the doors without even a second to spare before the man chasing us tried the door handle. When he realized it was locked, he started bashing at the window with his shoulder, all while my sister was screaming and wailing, making the matter worse. Through the intensity of the situation, I still was able to make the connection. It was the same man who had been stalking me on Instagram. I had to do a 3-point turn, but all the while I was honking the horn to get as much attention as possible.
How did
from the
you know
neighbors. I think it worked
Was it-
because
I
he
mean,
got
well, I
into his
guess a
car,
picture.
which turned out to be
If
the
it was
Maxima,
that
and did
picture.
a 3-point turn as well.
I feel
First
like
we
that
thought
wouldn't
he
even
was
be his
telling
real
us.
picture.
But instead, he booked it past us and down another street to never be seen again. At that point, we just turned around and went back to the house. I called our parents and then the police. The police were able to find out how the man broke in, through an upstairs window. He climbed up a ladder onto the awning and boosted himself up to the windowsill. I told the police about how he was stalking me on Instagram and must have somehow found my address when I posted my most recent picture with my sister, which included my house number. I tried to help them by
That's
getting
why I
the man's
never take
Instagram
pictures out in
account,
front of my
but
house.
when I went to the blocked
Why ain't in my
account
neighbor's
section,
house?
it was empty. That meant that the man already deleted his Instagram. Therefore, even if there is a way for Instagram to track deleted users, it didn't matter because I didn't remember the man's username. So I hate to say it, but there was nothing the police could do, and I knew it. I've since set my Instagram to private and really only accept follow requests from people I know now. I'm also a lot more paranoid and wary of posting revealing photos.
It's fucked up. You can't even be yourself on your own Instagram. You gotta be worried about creeps like that. Like, what was his plan?
I came across something
Kidnapping?
recently that has been freaking me the hell
Rape?
out.
Like, murder?
Before I get into my discovery, let me just get into a little backstory that makes the discovery even more disturbing.
Oh,
For the past few weeks or so,
just sit
on
up there
several
and stay.
occasions, while either trying to
sorry.
sleep in my bed or doing something in my room with a light on at night, I would hear a single, faint yet audible tap on my window. I hardly want to call it a tap, because none of the sounds really resembled an intentional tap. It sounded more so like something accidentally being scraped or pressed against the glass very briefly. At first, I thought it was just bugs flying into the window, but as the same sound kept happening at least 2 or 3 times a week, I started to get freaked out by it. So I told my dad, and he of course told me it's nothing, probably just bugs like I initially thought. So nothing happened for a few nights. But then, I got a text from a friend. Well, not a friend, just some guy I used to have a class with who somehow coerced me into giving him my number.
He
He
was
said,
smooth.
"Hey, I don't know if you remember me. We used to have a class together. I just wanted to let you know about this. I stumbled upon it by accident. And if you're unaware of it, that's pretty disturbing." Then he added a link to the bottom of the message.
Don't tell me
I
somebody taking
pressed it,
pictures
and it
of
took
her.
me to an Instagram page. The page was titled JP Unofficial. Those were my initials. But that wasn't the first thing I noticed. The first thing I noticed
What?
was the profile picture, which was me. And then the 45 pictures uploaded to that account were all of me. They weren't like pictures that I took though, they were all candid. I mean, like, they were pictures I never even knew were taken. Some were of me at the beach, some were of me sitting in my car.
Wow.
But the newer ones got even weirder. Some were of me in my backyard, and then the worst ones were the most recent. There were pictures of me in my room, taken from outside my window. Some of me sitting on my bed doing homework or texting, others of me
Wow.
standing,
Why is your
one even
window?
of me in my underwear. I felt sick. I felt like crying and throwing up. All of the pictures had at least 2 or 3 likes. Some had comments, but not comments pointing out how wrong this is. They were comments encouraging it, saying things like, "Go for it," or "hot," or "What
Go
I'd do
for
if I could get my hands on her." The captions on the photos, too.
Wow.
They were all things like, "The love of my life," or "She went to the beach today," or "I just like to watch her."
Wow.
My mouth was twitching as a tear rolled down my face.
That could not be
I was so
more
disturbed,
a
I
stalker
can't even
page.
describe the emotions I was feeling. And then, there was a sound again at the window.
Oh, fuck.
The sound. The unintentional scrape or tap. And then it clicked. It made sense now. When I put 2 and 2 together, I simply snapped. I lost it and screamed louder than I'd ever screamed before.
Jump through the.
My dad came rushing in with open arms to hug me and ask what's wrong. I showed him the Instagram page and explained the taps at the window. Well, explained is a stretch. I was a mess and could barely speak clearly. My dad's expression went from gentle to horrified to downright angry. He rushed outside screaming, making a scene for the neighbors, looking for the stalker. He then came inside and called the police.
I'd have went
He gave
instantly
the
to
police the
angry.
Instagram account and requested they track it as soon as possible. Law enforcement put the request into Instagram. By the time it was received, the account was deleted, but it didn't matter because Instagram was still able to recover the info, and the usage was traced to an old iPod Touch. Unfortunately, the device was untraceable.
iPod Touch.
It was either destroyed or it had its Wi-Fi turned off permanently. My dad saw how messed up I was, and he plans on moving us out of the house within the month.
Oh,
Luckily,
wow.
there haven't been any new
Actually
sounds.
move.
But I've also made sure to keep all my blinds shut 24/7, and
House.
always make sure I'm not being tailed
Yeah,
while driving.
why is your blinds open?
All I could
at
think to
night?
say to everybody is keep your Instagram private and always be alert to your surroundings.
Unless your window is open, then why are your blinds open? Like, I would never have my blinds open at night. Unless, like, I have my fan in my window. My blinds are down to the fan. And they're closed. And my fan is on. So, it's not like the blinds are always, you just see right in. Because somebody lives right next door. And they bathroom right there. And they could just look right into my room if that was the case. But that's some scary shit. Like, I get people following my page all the time. My Instagram page, people just randomly come up, start following me. I could tell some of them are fake. Some of them are like, they could be real. Some of them are like, oh, this is a real person. Unless I know them and I know that person real. But like, I've even had people email me talking about they companies that help and cause they're like, oh, we see you have over 500 followers. We can help your channel grow and all this stuff. And I was like, I'm good. I don't want that because I don't know what this is. I don't know who you are. I could research it, just research the company or something like that. But I was like, I don't. I only have 500 followers. Like, well, I got I think almost 600 or something. But probably most of them are just fake people. So I was like, I was like, yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't know you. I don't, because I feel like I have to give you my information or something like that to help. I don't know what kind of helping you gonna do. It's almost like it's like what are those things? Those multi-channel networks or whatever on YouTube and stuff like that. That's supposed to help people grow their channel and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm good. I don't want that. Okay, it's just an Instagram. I don't. It's not a big. I'm not making any. Like unless you gonna get me to help me make money, like give me sponsors and stuff like that. Like, because it was one I started talking to. I said, "Do you give me sponsors or something like that?" And they were like, "No." And I didn't respond because I'm like, that seemed to be the thing people do on that they have sponsors, and that's how they make their money. They put the stuff on their Instagram or on their YouTube channel, stuff like that. But I was like, you don't. I was like, how you gonna help me grow if you don't do any of that? Like, what do you do? But yeah, don't be very careful who you talk to online or anything. Instagram, Facebook, you think whatever. And I think anything, any my motto is any attractive woman that is attracted to me, I am worried. Even women that I have walked up to and talked to, I'm like, they're like, oh yeah, you can come over here and stuff like that. And I was like, I don't know about coming to your house like that, and I don't want you to come to mine. So, because I've heard of people going to people's houses and then she like, oh, you come in the bedroom and you thinking, especially dudes, you think we're not dicks. When you walk in the bedroom, somebody behind the door, or it's a closet right there, and somebody just leap out. You don't know they're gonna rob you, rape you, or kill you. So that's what I'm like. I don't very wary of that. I'm like, I'm the type of person that will warn others. How about we, instead of each meeting at somebody's house, how about we meet at where we're going? We going to eat first, or we going to a movie first. I'd rather go to a movie first and then go to eat. So let us meet there, or we're going to, I don't know, maybe comedy club, like whatever. Like just meet there, and then I'll pick your. And then I'll be like, hey, if I do come to your house, I'm not coming in your house, cause I'm just not doing it. I'm like, hey, I'll be outside. I'll text you, hey, come outside. Get in the car. I'm in your neighborhood. That's as far as I'm willing to risk it. At the beginning, I don't know you. You gotta be careful. A lot of dudes have been hemmed up because they think with they dicks, or they think, well, I'm a man and I can protect myself and I can do this and I can do that. Yeah, you might even be able to fight, but when you in somebody else's territory, even when I go in other people's neighborhoods, like especially when people be eyeballing me and shit. I remember I went in the girl's neighborhood and I went to go pick her up, and as soon as I got out of the car, some people just on the sidewalk. They weren't right at her house, but they were like they're a few houses down, and they saw me pulling up and had the parallel park, which I hate fucking doing. So it took me like 30 seconds to park. Luckily, it was enough space so I could really just pull in, but I backed in anyway, and they were already walking up, and I'm like, I thought about said, should I sit here and make excuses like a reason why I'm feeling around in my car, and I grabbed my retractable baton and I grabbed my knife had it on me. And some dude walked up talking about something, what set I rap or something. He said, who you rap or something. And I said, so I think I'm a little too old for that. And I think I'm a little too old for that. And I just walked by them, and they were just like looking at them. They was still fucking out there when we came out. But I didn't go in her house. I just stood on the porch. And I'd already texted her, and she didn't respond. So I rang the doorbell. And she came out, and she was ready. She just came right out the house. And then she saw them, and she kind of looked concerned. And I was like, either she doesn't know them or she does know them. And not in a good way. So we walked out, and I opened the gate for her. We walked up, and they just kind of just standing there. And the thing that pissed me off was they were standing on both sides of the gate were open, so it was like one on, so you had to walk between them. And I think it was like, I want to say it might have been 5 or 6 of them. They didn't do that. They just kind of just eyeballing us. Like they were thinking about doing, I don't know what. And I had my hand on my retractable baton, so I just grabbed the book. I opened the door for her, I got in my side, and we drove off. And I saw when I walked to my side, he kind of walked onto like, cause there was like, the sidewalk right by her fence, and then it's like grass, and then the curb. He walked with the grass with like spit, like right where my car's at, and they backed up, like. Yeah, sit your little young asses like they did. Like they might have been probably. I mean, they probably were like late teens, maybe early 20s. Like man, sit your asses down somewhere, trying to intimidate somebody. Like they didn't want to go as far, like they didn't want to do nothing, like they didn't want to rob me, nothing like that. So we weren't dressed like up fancy, as much as a casual. Like, where do we go? Oh yeah, I took the chick. I took her to a wrestling match. I took her to Unforgiven, I think it was. This was in St. Louis. Yeah, and I took her to Unforgiven. I think I was 20 then. Yeah, I had turned. Well, I was 18 when I first moved. I think I was like 20 at this point. I took her to Unforgiven. Was it at that time? Or was it after that? There might have been another, because I dated a girl after that for a little bit too. I know we went to downtown. I can't remember the Unforgiven. Oh, it was in that comedy club down. I don't know. But it was somewhere in that time frame when I was like 20. And that happened. I was like, oh man. And I hate that. People do that around my grandma's house in Chicago because she lives in a bad neighborhood. And people do that like eyeball you. I can't stand when people look at me just to be staring. What the fuck are you looking at? Like... Like, didn't your parents tell you it was rude to stare? Like, I want to say, your mother tell you, because most likely you ain't got no father around here. So, not in this neighborhood. But that's not fair. So they have both parents. Or they just have their dad. But their mom, most of them are just their mom. And I know because I've been over there many times in my life and knowing a lot of those kids. And some of them adults over there, and they single parent, usually a single mom. But that shit, yeah, be careful online, people. Be careful. Trust no one. But yeah, I'm gonna put a link to this in the description. It's 2 weeks old, but I'll put it in the description. And maybe you never heard of his name. He's actually a pretty good narrator of stories. I thought about doing that. And my deep voice, like, I could do a spooky voice. I've done it for this. I can't do it on spot, so alright. But I've done it, like deepen my voice and do like a spooky voice. But or my dad, he has a much deeper voice than I have. But yeah, I could do that. But I was like, I feel like I even wrote some stories, especially some stories back when I was in my early 20s. I wrote scary stories, like superhero stories, stuff like that. But yeah, I've been talking for way too fucking long. It's like 30 minutes, going on 30 minutes, it's like 17 minutes. But yeah, if you enjoyed it, hit that thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe, share, comment, and I'll see y'all next video. Peace.